our topic is for today because we were gonna talk about some live.
Live. We're going to talk about live stuff today. All
Interesting.
About,
we're going live.
We're going live.
Talking
And
about
we're talking
live.
about the live show experience. Yeah.
Fuck.
So where do you want to start, man? You want to start before you even get booked for a show? What it takes to get booked for a live show?
Yeah.
Or do you want to talk about once you get that show? What are you thinking?
Yeah, let's do. Man, I think we should really kind of like recount our sort of our experience with doing it, right? Like,
Okay.
like for you, let's say, what was like your very first live show? What did you play? You played like a talent show or something like that? How did you get started?
I mean, technically, my first live show would have been when I was in like public school and stuff, because I was always part of like the band and things like that. So through grade 6, 7, 8, I was always part of the school band and things like
What'd
that.
you play?
So I played saxophone. I played clarinet.
I didn't know
I
that.
did drums, but it was like terrible drums. It was like you play like a dun 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 dun. It was like all on the snare. You didn't play a tom at all, or a
my
kick,
God.
or cymbal.
No kicks, no.
Nothing. It was straight up just a tom. So you just
Jesus.
like dun 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 dun, and that was the entire thing for drums.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But
That's
but
terrible.
I played sax, and then I moved to clarinet because they didn't have anybody to play clarinet. So I did that.
Right.
So and then all through high school, I was in the orchestra and stuff too. So we always went places. Like one of the few times I've actually been to Collingwood was because we did orchestra band. And
Oh
things like
wow,
that.
they took you far, Collingwood.
Yeah,
Fuck.
so I mean, I technically been performing since I was a kid, so it wasn't really that big of a change for me to like step onto like the band stage and stuff like that. It was just a lot different because it was a different kind of organized event and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Well, when you were playing like the clarinet, you were like in a big ensemble though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was blowing as hard as I could to try and stand it.
The fucking I don't see I see that going exactly in my head like how it probably did. You were like basically basically like looking around like I
Dude,
want to be the best.
I can remember being in maybe like grades maybe 7 or 8 and being like in the band in the gym and just like blowing that sax as hard as I could to try and stand it because like you know
Yeah.
I thought I was good at music, so I wanted to stand out and and jam out with it a little bit.
Even if you weren't good at music, you like really
I wanted to stand out. Yeah.
And you thought making it look like you knew what you were doing is the best way to do it, I guess.
I have faked it on stage a few times.
Yeah.
Couple shows playing bass. Remember?
Yeah, with no
At a safe distance, I played bass for them with no amp, with a cable in my pocket, and then I did it for Loyalist as well.
Yeah.
When we were in Guelph. That was a good day.
That's like your calling card. You're
Yeah.
like, fuck, I can play the bass. So,
That was when Cam kind of slipped me 250 milligrams of edibles.
oh my
That was
God.
fun. That was a good night. I was cruising.
Oh.
Cruising. We got any questions or anything there yet?
We got 2 and
James
a half
there?
Mennonites. Hey. I don't know what that means. Head Tilters Podcast. Portrait Mode Weekly. Yeah, okay. So, hey, Jamie. Sorry, man. We don't have a phone holder that holds it vertically. It's got to hold it to the side, which is kind of dumb, but
Actually, we could go vertically. Now that I'm looking at it, we could
you
go vertically.
motherfucker, don't even say that.
But honestly, we want this shot to get us both in comfortably.
Yeah.
And honestly, full screen it and tilt your phone sideways and turn off your auto rotate. So we can solve the problem for you.
Yeah,
all right,
because
buddy?
we're totally doing it. It's just
yeah.
when you write it down.
Yeah, look, we're doing it right here. See, it works. But
It looks good, I guess. But yeah, wait till you see when the podcast comes out. We'll get something to put it vertical for the next time. Maybe we were like literally just trying this out. So
and this is just for the live stream. Honestly, you guys are behind the scenes.
yeah, so let us know some questions besides saying anything about. Please go vertically. Okay, yeah. If you it'll probably
fuckers.
come up in a second.
So if you go vertically, what, you're gonna only see the center screen then?
Yeah, they
We
only
have to
want
pull
to see,
that-
they want to see my computers. That's
Oh,
it,
I get
and
it.
all the snacks back there because that's what makes sense.
Yeah, that's my snack attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Live shows.
Yeah, live shows.
Yeah.
Fuck. So the clarinet was your thing. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
I remember for me, it was the fucking choir. I was in the choir as
You
a
was
kid.
singing in church school choir, right?
Yeah, basically, it's like, oh man, it was bad. This was like back in Toronto.
Okay.
Like I remember in the portables was where we
Yeah,
had like
yeah.
music class and shit. Man, I would always change the lyrics to all the songs and sing them, and thought I was so fucking clever.
Is that like Batman smells during Christmas kind of kid?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, dude. I had the highest voice too. Everybody was made me sing the falsetto. Man, I was a kid. What can I say? My balls haven't dropped yet.
soprano.
Yeah, my
Love
voice
it.
was really high when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And nothing changed.
Did you do any choir in St. Pete's for high school?
For high school? No, I just did like musical theater.
Okay.
That was the only time I sang.
Is that
yeah,
like drama
so-
for you guys? Was it
Yeah.
musical theater was just drama.
Yeah, yeah, it was. There was actually a musical theater course too that I took. So, yeah, so it was very bougie, wanting to be an actor, like on the front,
Yeah.
in the front of the stage and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I always thought it was funny to be like a comedian more than an actor. I thought I always thought that was funny for me or fun.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. And then when it comes to like playing in bands, though. Man, I remember the very first show was like the Alcona Lions Hall.
Was that when you guys were Apollo's End, or was it the name?
No, Awaiting Victory.
Awaiting Victory. I was gonna say Victory, Sweet Victory, and I was like, no, that's not right.
No.
A-dub.
You know what? Even that would have been a better name. But man, yeah, Awaiting Victory back in the day. Oh, it was fun though, but like
Yeah.
it was so weird because when we were in that band, we never, a Supernova, man, like that was always the shit. Like nobody
Yeah.
wanted to play Supernova back then. And then so we would like put on our own shows, and then after a while, like all the venues get closed down, and then now we have to like play Supernova shows because they're the only ones allowed to get back into
all that
those
was there.
venues.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, I think like playing
Supernova
live,
days. Wow.
dude. I know it's like what a ripoff, right?
Yeah.
I wonder what they're even like up to now.
I think that the name has changed a lot.
Oh, okay.
I'm not 100% on that, but I know that I feel like there was like a name. But then in that same boat, that Supernova just became like, it was a name, but it became a model. You know what I mean? Like when the Music City Toronto stuff was doing it, it was pretty much Supernova shows.
Yeah.
You've seen so many different. There was like this one guy. I know what his name is, but I don't want to just out him and be like he was doing the same crap.
Yeah,
But like there was
yeah.
another guy who was running shows for a couple years that was doing the exact same thing, and he would have Battle of the Bands things all the time.
Yeah,
And
sell
it
your
was-
own tickets.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be a lot, sell 10 or 15 tickets, blah 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 blah, and there was a decent payoff at the end, but it was very much a,
Yeah,
I don't care, pay $100 and pay for your tickets for all I care, right? So
which we've done before.
we've done that before, but we also just were able to,
Yeah, we tried to
get the
flip
tickets
'em.
sold to actual fans before we had to play the show.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like, dude, I don't know, and I don't really know how like kids do it now, man. Like, Supernova was one of those things where like if your friends were playing, then you were kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get on that show. Like, I
Yeah.
want to play it. But I think the best days we've ever had were just like the ones where we just put on our own shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that Kingdom show was awesome.
That was like our first SOS show, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was like our come out show. And really the only reason that show happened is because you funded it.
Well,
Like-
yeah, but like it's about just finding the venues and like
Yeah.
just going and like playing anywhere was always the best.
Was the best thing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was just a gym show that we brought our light boxes and shit to that we had made and all that kind of
Yeah.
crap, right?
Yeah, okay. Everybody's got the problem with the sideways.
Does
Yeah.
nobody understand how to turn their phones?
I think they want to read. They want to read what's going on, but nobody's. Why y'all gay? He's. Oh fuck, man. How are we gonna answer this for him? But yeah, we'll figure it out on the next one. Honestly, this was just like we were just jumping into it, and so
People don't understand that that's the better,
yeah.
that gives us the better shot, no?
You know what? Next time,
We don't even
there
give
won't
it to
be a
them.
next time.
We don't even give them a live stream and they're going to complain about stupid
Yeah, they're
shit.
just gonna have to see the video because this looks nice, man. What we got going
Yeah,
on?
our
here
setups
looks
look
fucking
fantastic.
sick.
You guys can't see it, but we've got 2 other cameras going here
Mm-hmm.
over each one of our shoulders, and that's the main squeeze that's happening. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna keep plowing through these these live shows. Like what? So like you would agree though that like the best shows were always just the ones that we like just kind of planned out, right? No.
I feel like it's a tough thing because Barry was at a point too where it was kind of hurting for shows for a while. So it got like we would ask Shane if we could do a show, and then he'd be like, just book it yourselves kind of thing. So we did. And then it got to a point where I was just booking majority of the shows that were coming through Barrie because they had the opportunity and there was nobody else doing it, right? So it was like, it just became our own shows almost out of necessity and then by default.
Yeah.
You know? So it was like, we always did what we had to make it happen, and it just happened to be that we had to be the ones hosting shows most of the time. For whatever bands that were trying to come through town, I had to be the one to host the show, and if we were playing, we were the hosts of the show, whether we were headlining or not. So it just kind of came to the point where we were so involved in the local scene that was inevitable kind of thing, and we had the opportunity to do it too. I mean, Shane gave us lots of opportunities and stuff like that, and me being a booker at the venue and stuff like that, it was easy for us to just put on our own stuff, make some good money off of it, make some good merch sales, and then go out on the road and and just have a time. Whether we ate shit or not, we were always taken care of because we did well at home. So
and then we always knew we had that little back pocket card, right?
Yeah, we have a nest egg kind of we can always count on.
Yeah. I mean those, and like those shows were always the best at the beginning of tours because we're just like, kicked off the tour with like
a huge show,
a giant show in Barrie, and
which was funny because we'd always end up not having merch for other places because we would sell out in Barrie.
Yeah, but I mean, we that was what we came there to do, is like give our fans the merch, right?
And make some money. Yeah, at the end of the day, as long as the money's made, that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
Live shows were fantastic. They definitely feel a lot different now compared to what they were, and just the fact that like Jill is holding the scene down really hard now too and stuff like that, giving tons of different bands of every skill level and age range opportunities now. So it does feel like there's more of a cohesive scene here in Barrie as opposed to just a scene that's comprised of whoever's touring at the time kind of thing. We have a lot of local shows. There's a lot of local bands that are doing stuff of significance. I mean, Dead Beyond Fear released an album like a couple months ago. You just shot a video with Cudbear and stuff like that. So there's lots of bands that are actively trying to do new stuff and keep it going. So I feel like the climate of the scene is a lot different now compared to what it was. And then obviously the climate of the scene from when we were in it compared to what it was 5 to 10 years earlier is a lot different too. So I feel like we're on the path to get back to a quote unquote heyday a little bit when there was a lot of locals doing stuff and we were able to bring tour packages that were of value through town and stuff like that. So we're right in that same boat. So the live shows I think here in Barrie are better than they've been maybe in the last 5 to 7 years kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Going back to the old founding days.
Yeah, that throwback kind of feel where you can get tons of people out. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of shows where if the capacity was there, we would be able to do an extra 75 to 100 people for certain events, you know what I mean? Which would have been fantastic, and you would get that really bigger show feel and stuff like that. Not that you don't get a packed show feel at the Fox with the venue size and capacity that we have now, but it's the numbers count and the idea of, we did 250 people at the venue, whatever it might be. So yeah, the climate I think has changed for the live scene and stuff like that. And then also, it's a little, I feel like, one thing that we learned is that it was a bit cliquey. We did a lot of work earlier on in careers, and then we realized the more people you get friends with and the easier it is to get booked around town. Half the bands that came through Barrie only came through because we had met them on the road and I liked them and I was willing to give them an opportunity when I was booking and stuff like that until I got consistent with it. So that was a big thing, is just, the networking side and stuff like that, where I feel like that's, as much as that's a thing now, it's not as key to get booked to have that direct contact. As long as you're taking care of your social media and you're building your band and your business product properly, you can get booked a lot easier now.
Yeah. I mean, and that was actually kind of the thing too. Like when I first started going to shows, and shows were like the thing, and I wanted to play in a band and like all that, it was always like I would go to shows just because I knew like my friends were there. It almost never really mattered about the bands too much. I mean, like I was fans of them and I loved the music. There was definitely not like, there was no problems with them. It's just like with the scene, you were just like, I want to be with my friends,
and that's what all your friends are doing.
Yeah, and it was so.
It wasn't at a movie. It was at a metal show.
Yeah, and that was really cool. And I don't really know, because like I can't really talk about that because I'm not in like high school or school at all. Like so I don't really know if that's still like the case with people coming up. But I feel like if they can you know, if they can get that, like that's something that they'll always look back on and like fondly.
That feeling kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's tough for Barrie because we don't have all ages shows that much anymore, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, what are the opportunities for those, right?
Yeah, very, very low. Mm-hmm. What's this guy
Yeah,
saying?
we've got So we just got old band members talking to us.
These dicks. Dickheads.
Yeah, so we don't, you know, maybe
Yeah.
the live show isn't what it's about,
Yeah.
but who knows?
So yeah, and then a lot of bands are taking the business side of it a little more serious these days too, which is kind of nice. So
Yeah.
there's some bands that are hitting it out of the park as far as doing what they need to as far as pre-show promotion and all that kind of stuff, and there's
Yeah.
some that are not, you know. If we can get into the like preaching side a little bit of what bands should be doing, you know.
Yeah.
Before if you get a show booked kind of thing, you should be putting in a ton of work on the pre-show side. If you've got a video or something like that, you should be throwing it in the event and all that kind of stuff. Obviously sharing the event page and all that kind of jazz. When you first get booked, the week beforehand, all that stuff, invite your friends, all the usual BS. But, you know, do other kind of stuff. We tried to do little videos that were like promoting the show that was coming up or something like that. Do a little more interactive things. Give people a reason to want to interact with you and to want to come out to the live show, you know. Put in your work on your promo beforehand. Contact the booker, whoever it is. Make sure you got your gear organized for night of.
That's a big one.
Like gear.
That's a bit like we could have a whole podcast
Yeah.
about band chats.
About band chats. Now most promoters are on top of it, and you know
Yeah.
couldn't tell you the last time I didn't have a gear chat for a show that we played, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or if there wasn't one, the bands themselves figured out a gear chat
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a nice thing. Yeah, and even when you get to the venue, you know what I mean? Gear is that much more important. Get your shit off and on quick. Get yourself organized beforehand. Make friends with the sound guy.
Yeah. I mean, and like,
Sound guys are your bread and butter.
yeah. Well, yeah, I don't upset them at least. They will,
Absolutely.
because they can fuck your whole shit up because they hate you. And I mean, like, I don't know, it's something you should kind of be aware of.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, like, gear and equipment, like when you're starting out and all that, how like deep do you need to get in your live gear, would you say? Because I know it took me quite some time to like really put together my whole live thing. Like, do you think that that still portrays a good enough image, or do you think like somebody who has just crappy live gear but still sounds good, like that's good for you? Or do you ever just think of them as like not as professional if they jump up there?
The people that are going to judge you are just the other bands and musicians.
Yeah.
Fans don't know the difference between a Marshall MG 100 and you know a JCM. They don't have a clue. They just see Marshall and they see the color, right? So
Yeah.
they don't know whether you're just running a clean channel through that MG and then running an OCD for your distortion, you know what I mean? Or whether you're running some $3,000 rig over there. So
Yeah.
as long as your sound and your tone is there, that's at the end of the day, that's what matters. And as long as you're getting by, you know what I mean? Even like when you had the 212 Valve King, that was more than enough power
Yeah, well-
and size to get by for even up until now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You throw a precision drive in front of that and your tone is ripping. You could easily go tour with that,
That was crazy.
right? So
I can't believe I ever just went from the 212 to a head and a cab. Like I
Yeah.
should just skip that step completely.
You could have easily
Yeah.
just stuck with that 212. Granted, it's heavy as shit.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? As far like 100-watt tube and you've got 212-inch speakers there, you're pushing tons of power. So
Yep.
it all depends on what kind of style you're playing and what you're willing to invest in it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm in a different spot where I've been in bands and stuff like that. I would probably be spending more than the average person should on the gear that I want because I know exactly what I'm looking for, and
Yeah.
I'm at the point now where I don't want to compromise and stuff like that. But like, we're in a golden age for gear now where there's no excuse for someone who's just starting out to not have good tone now, except for the fact that they don't know how to get a good tone.
Yeah,
As
well,
gear wise,
it's knowledge.
there's very few things out there that are at the stage performance level that are bad. You know what I mean? Granted, you've got a lot of different, like even a lot of the modeling amps have stepped up their tone and stuff like that. So there's really no excuse to have bad tone this day and age. There's so many affordable pedals and
I
amps
agree.
and stuff like that. So
I agree, and I
Yeah.
think like you should really consider more so what kind of style you're going for, and
that's
like
the biggest thing.
just anything you're using, it already has like its own its own footprint or like
It's got its own
yeah.
characteristics to it. Its own, yeah.
So I think it's kind of interesting. It's one of those things where you might not think of it as like so important as a kid because you're just like, oh well, I don't want to spend too much money on gear. And I mean, I get it. And if anything, I'm more like I believe in that a little bit more now. But yeah, you're right. If you really should like use what you got and try to fiddle with that and make like the best sounds out of it. And like it takes more time, but like as a kid, what you have is time.
All you have is time and nothing but, and everything you do is a new experience. You know what I mean? Like I haven't had that like new band experience or new music feeling since I got a new delay pedal and I spent 2 hours sitting on the floor playing with it.
Yeah.
I haven't had that since I was 16 and I bought a couple different amps or something and I just sat on the floor playing with them because I was experimenting and learning, right? So, yeah, when you're a kid, you literally can sit there for 3 hours straight and just fiddle with it. And if you don't have something cool at the end or something that's usable, it doesn't matter because you weren't working towards like an end goal of needing this good tone or anything. You're just experimenting. And every single amp that's out there these days has someone who's experimented with it already and can show you how to get something good out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, YouTube is so great now. You got all those options.
Tons of options. Like the Boss Katana is probably one of the most versatile modeling amps that's easy to use right now. That's got tons of different options. I mean, I use the Katana Mini. It's the smallest version that they have, and that's my main amp right now because it's just, for what it is, it gets me a great little tone and stuff like that, and I don't need anything big until I find the exact right lunchbox head that's going to work for me with the bells and whistles. And like, so it's just that good, and every model of it is fantastic, and you've got that across the board. So if someone came to me as like, oh, I only have $500 and I need to get something that can get me by at home and maybe do a band practice, then like there you go. You've got, you know what I mean? You have an option right there at $350 kind of thing. Or if you wanted to step up, you could get a 1200 watt version for a little more. So
yeah,
the price range of stuff is really, really catering to people these days.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, yeah, because like a true stage gear, if you wanted to, you could get away guitar and amp. You could probably get it for under $1,000 these days, because you could go with something that's just like a classic vibe Squire, and you could go with a Katana or something simple, and you're laughing, right? Squire, you still have your cheaper side of stuff, but you'll have a decent set of pickups that'll sound good if you went down that route, you know what I mean? So there's tons of options to get good tone these days at an affordable price range, no matter what you're looking for, whether it might be country and blues all the way up to shred metal and, you know what I mean, jazz and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, they've made it more accessible. Like,
super accessible,
because, there needs to be more music.
So I think in coming back full circle here for newer and younger bands, it's not about getting amazing high-end gear. It's about getting decent gear at an affordable range that you can really work with. And then once you figure out what tone you're actually going for, you can step it up from there. You know what I mean? I just went and bought that Hughes and Kettner over the holidays. Got it home and I absolutely hated it. And this was something I've tried before. Great amp, high end. You know what I mean? Hughes and Kettner's a great amp, but it wasn't the tone and color I was looking for. So I brought it back right away. It just wasn't for me, right?
Well, wouldn't you say that as you get even higher end into amps that they're almost less versatile? Because they're like, I do this one thing really well, and they kind of like have their genres.
Yeah, a little bit. It's because they're a little bit more pigeonholed once you get down to certain things because they do this one thing really well, and that's why they do it. You get certain amps, like you've got like the Grandmeister Deluxe, like the 40s and stuff like that, which have like, I think it's a 3-channel, tons of effects and stuff built in. So ideally that amp is supposed to be super versatile, but it's super versatile with that Hughes and Kettner stamp on it, you know what I mean? With their tone stamp, if you will. So it is very versatile within its own Hughes and Kettner world kind of thing, right? But there's certain amps where you're just not going to get a Marshall sound out of it, or you're not going to get the PV sound out of it when it comes to, right? A lot of the stuff is really, you have to, I mean, Black Star's trying to do it because they've got like their little tone blend to go through the 6L6s to the EL84s. Yeah. It's not a drastic change, but it does tighten it up and change it a fair bit. But really, at the end of the day, how versatile do you really need it to be? You know what I mean? Most of the time, you're going to end up going for something that's going to be in that vein right off the hop, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If your tone and you're like, I feel like a deluxe reverb is my tone, then that's probably the tone you're going to stick with and the type of gain stage that you're going to want for most of your sounds kind of thing. You know what I mean? A lot of people that are playing that wouldn't just switch over and go play some other crazy tube head that's got a completely different gain stage and stuff like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like, I'm really excited to get my hands on this Invective, but I don't know what that clean is going to quite sound like when it starts to break up because it's used to such a dirty distortion sound, right? So it's something that still you don't quite know how it's going to break up earlier on, and then, you know, different amps break up because of the clean channel sounds a lot different too, right? So
Yeah, and then you got your whole guitar in the mix too, and you don't know what that's doing.
You're down the rabbit hole there,
yeah. So it's hard, and I mean, so many people are on like that quest for tone.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I would say like, it's very more like it's, you know, you need to focus more on your playing and on the, you know, on the like actual. Okay, let's like fiddle around with this and see what this like amp or whatever that I have is like. That's what can it do, right? So yeah, it's really interesting, but you know, trying to think back to like when I started and stuff like that, because well, really, I did have like the whole gas, like I was like, trying to like, how can I make my tone sound better and all that stuff. But when I really focused on learning guitar, that's when I got better. No matter what, like I ended up even getting like more better equipment and stuff like that. But it was like I don't think I would have got the same out of it if I didn't really focus on guitar playing itself.
You're completely right too, because you can only get so much better with better gear. It all comes down to the hands and stuff. And even that too is like you'll realize what your gear is lacking, because you'll know that your hands are at a better spot. You know what I mean? Like if you're a metal player and you're going, your chugs aren't quite there, but you know your hands are getting a lot better, but the chugs just still don't sound quite as clean or something. Like, okay, maybe it is time for me to change my settings a little bit and maybe get a little bit tighter tone out of it by dial my bass back a little more and add a little more highs to get a little more tightness in my chugs and stuff like that, right? So little things like that to like, now you adapt to your playing with the amp you have rather than just trying to switch it and hope that's going to fix all your problems. Right? Yeah. So much of the tone lies in your hands. It's classic.
It's amazing to hear you say that.
Yeah, I know.
You're figuring it out.
It's
no,
there.
Not really.
It's there.
I got way too annoying about that. So it's amazing that you said it now. I'm like, okay, it's sunk in.
It's true though. I mean, and I think so. I'm the biggest gas person here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here it's just me and you. But
well, I mean, out of you and the dogs, they got some gas too. Fucking dumb. But yeah, man. Maybe let's get on a little bit more about like the whole band. We kind of went to guitar there because there's drums and stuff, and like I mean I think vocalists pretty much have it down. They're like, yeah, I need to focus on my vocals. The microphone doesn't really make the sound, like it just sort of tweaks it here and there. And you're live too, so
I always brought my own mic, but it all depended on what setting it was, whether I used a 58 or a Beta 58, and it was just pretty much venue size.
Yeah.
Right? If it's a small venue, I'm usually using a 58 because everything is going to be close and bouncing everywhere. If I'm on a big venue, I'm busting that Beta out. Yeah.
And I mean, like really what else can you do with a microphone, right?
Not a whole lot.
I know you tried that harmonica microphone. That was pretty fun.
That was the only reason that was just annoying. Annoying to have a second cable all the time. Yeah, that was what it was. Is I think I almost tripped on it one night when I was standing on a banister, and I was like, I'm not going to bother with this anymore.
It was kind of it was a cool idea because like you know we had tons of parts with that in it. But
I heard the difference, but I think at the end of the day. There's also just too much going on when it comes to our style of music that it's just never going to cut through the mix or be heard the way you want to. I mean, half the time I feel like you can't hear vocals at a metal show anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it depends on the vocalist too. Yeah. Sometimes they're just so quiet. Isn't that the weirdest thing? Like when you're watching a band and like one band's really sick and then the next band goes up and then you're like, wow, I can't hear anything.
What happened here?
And then, and then it's like the sound guy's like, I don't want to put that vocal up. Like I know I need to, but like it's gonna. Just
you get into a point too where some guys just have certain screaming techniques that. You feedback, right? So if you're screaming if you're cupping the mic too much, or if you got a really like airy kind of lower volume scream, and you got to crank that input level up a little bit, you're going to start picking stuff up from around the stage and start picking up the monitor and things like that, and you just that's bad technique.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you know what I mean? Bad technique for holding the mic and bad technique for maybe screaming.
Yeah, and I think like the vocalist kind of has that down though. They're like, okay, I know if they're like, if things aren't sounding the way they want them to, it's because of their own technique. It's definitely not because of the microphone they're singing through.
No, yeah, it's hardly ever the
Yeah.
mic. I mean, when you actually have mic cord issues, it's very obvious.
Well,
which I've seen
right.
a lot lately. But I mean, outside of that, yeah, there's not that much that can fail on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as like a patch cord or your pedal just goes. Or,
Yeah.
you break a cymbal or a stick or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, okay, and then like if you run to the bass and the drums, I think they're kind of similar. Like, I don't know. I really don't. I just think no matter what, if you're just starting out or you're a band or whatever, like it's better to get tighter together and have like a better cohesive sound than it is to have like good equipment and to worry about that stuff.
Yeah,
like you
of
shouldn't be like going to shoot out a bunch of different amps because you think it's going to change your sound or like make it better, right? If you haven't practiced enough, or you guys don't, like, not everybody practices all in the same room at the same time, right?
I guess, yeah, that is true. And the only thing I could say in a rebuttal to that is sometimes new stuff does inspire you to do more and to play more and things like that. Yeah, it's
that's a good take on it.
right. I mean, I've always been inspired to play more whenever I get something new. I want to have it in my hands and play it that much more. Right. I think I might have picked up my Spalted Maple 3 times since I got my Ibanez. So like I've been shredding that and playing a lot more heavy stuff because I got a new heavy guitar kind of thing.
Ooh.
And I was playing it a lot more. So there's stuff like that has made me more motivated.
Yeah.
When I picked up my Telly, I was playing a lot more blues and like country style simpler stuff because the tone was just so fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, that's an interesting take on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that is true.
Yeah.
It is true. And like it's always your like friend's guitar that's the most inspiring because like you're not gonna have it forever.
Yeah,
So like
or you
when
just
you
might-
play it,
yeah.
you're just like, oh man, I'm coming up with the best shit. Yeah.
yeah.
So it's so funny though.
Inspiration can come from anywhere too, though, right?
Mhm.
It also is something too where who really,
Me. The answer's me. Whatever question you're gonna say.
when we look at people and we look at their gear and we say that guy needs better gear,
Yeah.
it's always because his playing is better than his gear.
Yeah.
Every single
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. That's true.
Right?
Yeah. There's tons of examples
Yeah.
of that.
And then if we see a band that goes up and they have wicked gear, but they're very mad, we're like, well, at least they looked the part, right? Like I've literally said that. I was like, well, they put in the effort to look the part.
Yeah.
They've got their half stacks or their their
Yeah.
212s in their heads and whatnot, and they put in the effort on that side of stuff to get the gear they needed to kind of be down that aspect. They just
Yeah.
might not have the musical side of it,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's in that weird spot. I mean, not to kind of call Fern out a little bit, but he
Oh
was
my
rocking
God,
that
dude.
shit Marshall stack
Yeah.
for so long, and now he's upgraded to that. Upgraded to a better head and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
his tone has significantly gotten better,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's a perfect example of somebody that we said needed to upgrade some of his gear, and he did.
Yeah,
and
and it's way
and they
better.
sound significantly better, and he has less stage issues because of it, because he had a little bit better head now. So he's got the channel switcher and stuff like that. He can just engage an effects loop that could be running at all times. So it's little things that sometimes upgrading gear will make your stage performance easier and better, but it's relative to your skill and to your affordability and what else you got to pay for as far as band life and stuff. I mean, how many
Right.
times did we look? We got buddies right now that want to buy gear from me, but they're like, I got to pay for other shit first.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like, oh, I might have a music video coming up I should be paying for instead of buying this piece of gear. So
Yeah, and I mean, like live. I don't know. Live is very important. I think now more than ever. Getting that. Well, maybe not right now with the whole virus shit going down, but like, knowing how to perform live, I think that's like super key.
huge.
And it helps. But like, how does a band show that they like know how to play live or they're really good live? You know what I mean? Because that's one thing that I've struggled with that, because would see like amazing promo videos done for bands that were like it was a live show or something, and they wouldn't even have the live audio, but still like the video just looked so cool that I was like, oh man, it looks like such a fun time to be out and like
Structures had
watching
really
that
sick
show.
video, I remember.
Yeah, and like man, there was just so many times. And that was always a thing where I was like, man, we got to make the show cooler. We got to make something about it like more interesting, so people will want to, be a part.
I feel like a lot of those videos too was like it wasn't even the band that was cool; it was because the fans were going nuts. And it was all
Okay.
right because like when I
Right.
think about these, most of the time I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy." It's not because like that band is doing something crazy; it's because the crowd is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, but why does the crowd go crazy? Like,
Because they just are that in love with the band.
yeah.
And there's that many people going nuts there.
Okay,
for it.
but
Like,
why are they in
now
love with the band?
Because the band is sick. They're sick. Because like the two that come
they
to
have
my
lots of
mind right now
friends.
is like I remember in the one
Yeah.
video that was they used the beginning of Divided By like the album like that.
Yeah.
There's a fucking apple.
Yeah.
They did that, and that was part. That was like I think that was the music video or like the video that they
Yeah.
did. And then the Chariots got that like house show one where you
The
see,
house show's
where
sick,
you
yeah.
see them at like the venue and like they're granted the Chariot is nuts to begin with, kind
Which
of
is
thing.
amazing, but that's what
but
you
then
want.
the crowd is that much more crazy and stuff like that, right? So I don't know, maybe just capturing those certain moments, but you got to have them to be able to capture them, right?
Well, you have, yeah. Like, I mean, you have to have people kind of filming the whole time
The whole
and just
time,
being
yeah.
like, yeah, but I don't know, man. It's just one of those things, and I don't see it as much anymore. I don't really think people push their like live shows as much. Like, I just don't see them like I used
like
to.
the live footage, you mean?
Yeah.
I think I know that me personally, when I go to watch a live footage of something, I would say unless it's a full set, 80% of the videos that I click on are live shots over the recorded audio.
Right.
So immediately, I don't watch it anymore.
Oh.
Because I clicked the video thinking it was a live video, and this was a well done video using live audio. That's what I'm there to see, and because that audio was recorded, I'm like, I've heard this audio before. I'm not that excited to watch the video because the video doesn't have a theme or a story or anything like that. It's just live shots of you guys playing.
Yeah.
Cool. It might look neat and stuff like that, but I'm not as interested in it because it doesn't have that also live audio aspect where I can,
Right.
or if that guy's screaming, I hear that scream right there. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's why if I'm watching live footy, I want the live audio too. It needs to go hand in hand for me as a spoiled ass fucking
Yeah,
kid, you know
like
what I
unless
mean?
it's like one of those promo videos where it's cutting from a bunch of different angles, and
or
yeah.
it's very short. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a very like here's our promo video for this thing
Mm-hmm.
that's coming up or hyping or whatever it be. But if it's a full front to
Yeah.
back, I'm less interested at that kind of performance video.
Mm-hmm.
As neat as they are and utilizing and getting cool footage of that,
Right.
I'm less interested if it's not the live audio itself. So
So does that kind of stuff help you as like a promoter? Would that be if you saw the really sick live videos of them, you'd be like, oh, okay, this would be a sick band to put on? Or does that not even matter? You would just need enough fans to be like, yeah, get this band in, and then that would be good.
it's always going to help because you want to
Yeah.
see them in their element at their best.
I
Right?
agree. Yeah,
So
I agree.
I don't think that it would hinder anyone in any case. And any well done video is good for a promoter because
Yeah.
they have content that they can work with. You know what I mean? They can post it before the show's even announced and get some low key buzz going and stuff
Yeah,
like that. You
yeah.
know what I mean? If you guys have promoters in your scene and they just randomly share a video of some band or something like that, chances are
Yeah.
that band is coming to town sometime soon. You know what I mean? So
And I mean, like, another good one too is like even live shots, like live photos. If you're doing, especially if you're doing crazy shit like stage diving or,
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
playing in your underwear or some weird shit like that, people are excited to see that. And then like the really pro looking promo shots are just, they're so cool, right? And I think that's another thing that's really excited me to go to certain shows is just because I see the promo shots or like,
Yeah.
for the photos, and I go like, man, that looked like so much fun. I
Yeah,
definitely
Matty G's
gotta
doing good
go
work
out.
with that.
Yeah, there's tons of people out there
Yeah.
doing it, and I think I think it's a really important thing to just keep going, just keep going with those, and like having a bunch of different live shots, and like getting all those people excited about that kind of stuff, and it's good. It's great for bands because it helps them get booked,
Yeah, very much so.
and now we need that more than ever. So yeah, I just think I think it kind of comes down to like. There's almost always this like longing for the good old days, back in the show days, and I mean, I don't know, maybe
From our generation in the scene,
yeah,
because we know the difference, right?
and maybe it was just because, you know, you just wanted to be like one of those bands, like you wanted to be like one of those older bands that were playing and stuff, and you just had that desire, and maybe that desire is just like kind of waned down, or you know, people aren't into it as much. But there was, I don't know, I always have that vibe, like we need to kind of do something to like reinvigorate the scene in that way. And then I always see like Barrie, you think, oh, there's no scene, there's not enough people supporting it and stuff, but then you go elsewhere and it's even worse, and
It's
you're like,
so
God
bad.
damn, how does this happen?
Yeah.
Like, why does it get so bad? And like, how can we kind of reverse that and fix it and get people more inspired to want to go out and stuff?
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm always thinking about that, right? Because it's like, it's such a big deal. It's like part of the reason why we don't even do band stuff anymore, because of that,
Yeah.
right? You need like, and you need to support. Does it just come down to that? People don't want to spend the money to support, or
I don't know if it's the money so much. Obviously, some people are being cheap asses these days, but I feel
Right.
like people are also willing to spend money on the most now than ever. You know what I mean? The idea of paying only $20 for a T-shirt from a band now seems like a steal. You know what I mean?
Yep.
At
Instead of paying like 30 at a store,
some kind of
40.
store or something like that. Yeah. So as far as that side of stuff, you know, bands have a bit of an up on the rest of the merchandise industry for shirts and stuff like that. It's a little. You've got bands that obviously need a lot of support, and everyone says, you know, support your scene, and the bands that deserve the support usually get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how often do you look at a band that's got a couple albums out, and they've put out a bunch of videos, and they've put in the legwork, and they've booked the tour or whatever it might be, and they don't have like the following to back it up? You know what I mean? I don't know very many. Maybe it's because I don't know of them is why, you know, that I think they don't exist. But most of the bands that I know of that went through that effort have developed somewhat of a following, you know what I mean? Or they would never have gotten to that point of doing all that stuff without getting a following and stuff like that, right? So,
Interesting.
yeah, it's... There's lots of bands out there that probably feel like they kicked themselves in the ass and they feel like they might not have got the kind of...
notoriety.
Yeah, but also those bands, you know, how much effort did they put in there to get noticed and stuff like that? Even we talk about us, you know, we had some decent success with SOS and stuff like that, and we're looking back, and there's so many more things we could have been doing with SOS, right? Things that we're doing like right now and things stuff like that. So there's so many more opportunities to be better and to do more. Even with as much as we did and as far as we got, there was always room for improvement. So
Always.
So in that sense, it's you get what you put in. It's very much you get what you put in, and yes, there is going to be a point where you need a big kind of break to kind of break into that crazy next level of it.
Right.
But on the lower end, you really do get what you put in. You know what I mean? There's like a perfect 30 going on 13 local pop punk band here in town. They're actually putting in effort and trying to do, you know what I mean? Doing a little push as far as their promo and their merch and getting some hype going, and they've got some music out and stuff like that. So they're getting what they deserve right now as far as putting in the work and getting that promo back and getting the support and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they did things smart. Like Shane put out a big thing about bands doing new releases and simple things like that. And Keegan's like, yo, will you share this today at whatever time when we post it? And I'm like, of course, man. It's a simple share. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He put in the work to message a few friends to make sure there was 15 to 20 people putting that share out when his stuff drops. So, you know what I mean? And doing that little bit of effort. And the shows are always packed, and they've got their stickers and they've got all that stuff around. So they're putting in the work to make sure sure that the results are there.
Yeah.
And they're not even a band, in my opinion, that's trying to do crazy things or get signed, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They've all got, you know, their main lives and stuff going on too. So this is, you know, it's not like they're trying to go crazy with it, or maybe they are and I just don't know it. You know?
Well,
maybe
yeah.
I'm just naive to the fact, but
It's probably
lots.
big things coming. It's like the
Yeah.
iceberg, right, where you only see so much, but
Yeah.
there's so much underneath the
yeah.
surface.
And
So
then in that same boat, Dead Beyond Fear's in the same boat, right?
Yeah.
Where they were putting in the work. They went and, you know, Chelsea's got a drum playthrough that they did, and I think they might have shot a music video.
Yeah.
And they've got the album out and stuff like that, and they had a good release show. So they've got some buzz going for them. So they're getting what they deserve as far as putting in the work and getting the
Yeah.
promo and the support from the scene, you know?
right. So it's just literally about trying.
Yeah.
And getting out there and letting people know what you're doing
And doing it in a professional enough way that people notice it and will
Okay.
give a shit.
Right.
Because if you go out and do it and it's crap and people see that it's crap, then they're not going to care. Like, you know what I mean? They'll be like, oh, you didn't care enough to put that much extra effort to make sure this looked good or sounded that good. So I, right off the hop, don't feel as motivated or as committed as a friend to put in that effort to share it and get the promo going. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to put their stamp of approval on stuff and it be something cool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When everyone shares that viral video and it gets 50 likes and a bunch of comments, they're like, oh, that's sick. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to share crappy stuff.
Right.
They don't want their newsfeed fill up with shit. So if you're a friend and you want your friend to share your stuff, make it good.
Yeah.
make it worthwhile.
That's the easiest way.
That's the
And
easiest
DM
way.
them.
And if it's good, you won't even have to ask. They'll just straight up do it.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe let's take it back a bit.
Yeah. Let me grab my Wawa.
Fucking Wawas. Okay. So so I'm thinking, man, let's go. Let's say you are like a local band. Mm-hmm. You've practiced a lot in your basement. What is your first move? Like, so, okay, let's go even a little further back. So
Okay.
as a promoter, what are you looking for that's like, okay, these steps need to be included before I even consider booking this band? And let's say like it's like a newer band.
A newer band.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a promoter, when I get a message from anybody, right off the hop, you got to be a little professional about it. Be
Oh,
clear.
really?
Don't be vague. Don't just be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I heard you book shows," and that's it.
I heard through the grapevine.
Yo, I heard you book shows. Okay, so I don't know
Holy-
how many messages I've got of just stupid shit like that, and you're like, "Yep, cool. I have
What
a
do I
band
say to
called
this?
blah 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 blah." And I'm
Dude, that's like when
"Great."
you text me. You always say sup. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, what do I answer to that?
But
Like,
that's
tell me
diff-
your motivation. What do you what
Yeah.
come on, give me a little more
You
than
gotta
that.
start. That's different. That's us, though.
Yeah,
and I don't
well,
want
I
to
know,
feel
I
like
know,
I'm
I
just
know.
asking you for something right away.
Well,
But
it
for
always
stuff,
is.
for stuff like I don't text you unless I have a reason. I'm not just gonna message
Well,
you
that's
just
what
to-
I'm saying.
Just
It's
to
just
chit-chat. Yeah,
always
fair.
probably what it
Okay,
is.
but for the band, you want to get it. You don't know who you're talking to, so you don't just want
Okay.
to start a random conversation most of the time.
Yeah.
You want to be upfront and clear and to the point right off the hop. You don't want to
Right.
give a giant long 7-paragraph message. You want to be clear and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Introduce yourself. Hey, my name is whoever, and how you were associated with the band, whether you're a
Okay.
booking agent, whether you're the guitar player, blah blah blah. Hey,
It's a starter band, so I'm probably not a booking agent.
no, yeah. So be like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
my name is blah blah blah. I'm the vocalist for this band, and we're
Okay.
looking to get out there and do some shows, kind of thing. We're looking to book our first show, kind of deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within that message, you've given them how long you've been a band right off the bat. You know that you're talking to somebody directly in the band,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're now at the point where they want to start booking shows. So the idea of, hey, we've been practicing, we want to go play a show. They feel like they're ready now to go out and play a show.
Right.
And then they should be offering you links to something. So
Okay.
if you're a new band and you don't even have any music out yet, it's a tough spot. 'Cause
Yeah,
you have
okay,
no
so
idea.
get music.
You need some type of, even if it's
One
a
song.
band practice.
Band
you know what I mean? It
practice.
doesn't have to be
Ooh, you would
amazing
check out
audio.
a band practice.
It's the only video they have available.
Okay. So a video is better than audio.
If it's your band practice, it definitely shouldn't be audio.
Okay.
You need to show that this sounds this way because it's from a live thing from band practice.
I gotcha.
So that the audio can be compromised because they see it's some camera sitting in the corner
Yeah.
of the bunch of them jamming. Hey guys, we're jamming some of our new stuff kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. We're hoping to book a show soon. Keep your eyes peeled kind of thing,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
you've got to give them something to work with. You got to give me something to get some kind of idea for sound, what kind of level you're at as far as professionality, whether you're an opener, a second on the bill, stuff like that.
Okay.
So some type of links or something I can check out, you know what I mean, and get an idea of what you sound like or what you're
Right.
all that kind of stuff. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So in that sense, as a band, you have to have that kind of stuff in the message, but you have to have that stuff exist on the page beforehand. So while you're writing and stuff, you need to be developing that Facebook page and have
Yeah.
some type of simple graphic up there that has your band name if it's not a promo shot or something like that. So, I mean, in my opinion, before I'd even try to get booked for a show, I would have a lot of these bases already covered. You know what I
Right.
mean? I would have some type of audio or video up that shows kind of what we sound like and a little snippet of that. I would try to have some type of logo up on our page that would just be simple. You know what I mean? You only have to pay $20 for it from some graphic designer,
Yeah.
or have your friend do it for free or whatever it might be. At
Yeah.
least something that shows
Draw
that,
it.
something that shows that you're a legit band and not just some dude that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, wrote fucking whatever in paint, which it could be done in paint as long as it looks good. But
Yeah,
you
just
know, be
pick a font.
be legit about it, right? So offer yourself up in the most professional manner you can
Okay.
early on. So I go to the page, I check out that video, might check out how long the page has been around for, how many likes they have, how much they've tried posting and stuff like that. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So how many the likes? That's not
It's
not
not-
really that relevant to
Not
you.
so much, because
No?
if you're a new band, you know what I mean? You might not have even really put it out there that you're a band yet.
Right.
You might have just made the page and people saw it, and you might have your core group of friends that looked at it, saw that was your band, and checked it out, because you might not have actually done any real promo yet. Maybe that
Right.
one video you put out is the only thing that you've really put out for that page.
Right.
And it might only have 75 views or 100
Mm-hmm.
views, right? So you can't expect someone who's got that small to have 300 to 400 likes or anything like that right off the hop.
Right.
Granted, it shouldn't take that hard to get 100 to 200 likes if you got 5
Yeah.
people sharing it on their pages and you've got friends and family and all that kind of stuff. There should be a little bit of traction.
Right.
Whether all of that is legit good fans and stuff like that's another story. So
Yeah. Oh damn. Okay.
so
And
that's definitely something to look for. It's
Right.
just about having quote unquote a bit of the package available for social media when you go to it. So if it's a Facebook and Insta, whatever it might be, you know, Insta's
Yeah.
easy to do these days. You can throw up simple band practice things. You could throw up that 15-second video from practice and stuff
Right.
like that. That's probably the easier way to do it these days, as opposed to posting all that kind of stuff on Facebook.
Yeah. So essentially though, you got to have your like, hey, this is like what we perform, or these are like the songs that we do in
gotta have
whatever
your
capacity you can get those.
Yeah, you got to have your social media in line
Right.
to be able to get booked.
Yeah, and just be able to like search them and know that each connect to like this Instagram connects to this Facebook, and you know
Yeah.
who's who. And then and then I guess when you're starting out, that's really it. That's all you're looking
That's
for.
all you have.
Yeah.
That's all you have to offer is your social media at this
Okay.
point, right? But you haven't played any shows really, and if you have, the only real thing that you have to show that you played that show is maybe a show poster,
Right.
a couple other bands that might have played with you, and then the social media from that show, right? So,
So would it be important if somebody was to? We should probably wrap up. We got the dog going crazy. But would it be important then to have maybe, you know, what was I gonna say, man? Just keep blanking out. So, like you have so you have all your social media set. Do you think it would be an important thing, especially if you're like an out of town band and you're like trying to get more out of town kind of shows? Do you think it would be important to find locals in your area that are like better than you, but be able to team up with them and bring shows, like, so you can offer, so like if someone came to you from like Hamilton and they were a bigger band with like a smaller band and they said, hey, look, we have like an opener with us.
yeah.
Is that like a cool way to start bringing yourself back up? Like if you were kind of just starting out, to maybe reach out to the bigger bands?
If you've got an in with that band, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and you're good enough and can stick and like keep up with what that band is doing.
Well, even
That's-
if like it's like, so the locals of the actual place
Yeah.
are kind of more in the middle, but then you have like your band who's just starting out, and then like
They're the actual
headliner.
opener for the night kind of thing.
Yeah.
It can work. I
Yeah.
mean, it's whether that headline band is willing to
to give you the time of day.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, how often did we want to do that and go on
Yeah.
tour with a bigger band that would help us out? But it's not beneficial to the bigger band. They're genuinely helping out a smaller band. So
Right, yeah.
you're piggybacking off of their draw a little bit. You know what I mean? So that is a little bit more of the network marketing side where you really you have to be friends with the band and they have to be willing to, like, yeah, we want to hang out with you for that week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and just bro down.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't have to be like a tour, right? Like,
Yeah.
it can be just like a show that's a few hours or like an hour.
Yeah,
away
yeah,
or
yeah. If you're
something, but-
working, yeah. I feel like a lot of that is just straight up going to come down to the networking a little bit, or you can be the lower band and go to the bigger band and say, hey, we've got this show out of town. We
Right.
can get you guys on the bill, kind of thing, if you want to, and we can kind of
Yeah.
tag team it a little bit. Like
Yeah.
there was that one little tour that we did up north that ended up being was like with what oh my gosh, Three Crowns.
Yeah.
We play with Three Crowns
Yeah.
and Forever Cadence that little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We got a few people watching here. So like
yeah?
if people want to send questions, I know it's going to be like kind of hard to see. I know we fucked it up. Okay.
Yeah, we know it's horizontal, not vertical.
Yeah,
but we like
get
this.
it.
We like it. Turn your phone sideways.
For now, we like it. We might have to do vertical next time so you guys can read. But yeah, I'd love to hear some questions and we can get to answering them. Like, probably gonna wrap this up really soon. So,
How long have we been going for?
we've been probably about an hour now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's been going for an hour.
It's
Yeah, it's probably 20 minutes less than that though.
yeah. Well, it's an hour 15. So
Okay.
yeah. So we will get on that and yeah. I mean, there's not much else that I can think of for like, I'd love to be able to give some people some advice for when they're doing things like what a promoter's looking for. I think that tip, honestly, of just not saying like, oh, hey, I heard you book shows. Like, that's a good tip, man. Like,
As much as you want to be like relaxed and laid back, you have to
Yeah.
be professional about it, and you have to give. Most bookers get messages from tons of people. So if you
Right.
get 5 messages a day and only one person was straightforward about all the information that you needed from them in that one message and get it taken care of, then that's the only guy that's really going to get the time of day.
yeah,
So you got to
Yeah.
be on top of it.
we got a question.
Okay.
Are you in space?
Are we? Why does it look like we're in space?
Dude, I went. Is my basement space?
I mean, it's spacious.
Ish.
We have some space down here.
Spacious-ish. I'd like a new house. That would be nice.
I mean, it
A
is
house in
Friday.
space
It depends
now.
how many drugs he did, whether we look like we're in space or not. You know,
Oh, Andrew.
silly boy. All right. Well,
Thanks for joining in.
yeah. I feel like we didn't quite finish off the live. There's still the second half of live stuff. You know,
Well, we'll do the second part.
just so y'all know, for other live stuff, be prepared for your stage stuff. Set up early if you can. Be friends with the sound guy. Make sure he knows what you need before you need it. And obviously, be nice to the promoters.
Yep.
And
Other bands. Be nice to other bands.
social media post the day after. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Post show, wrap up kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Sweet.
Yeah. I think that's the main things that we should touch on next time or that people should be aware of in general. And that's it. I
Cool.
think that's it.
Wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Live stream. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
And real cameras, thanks for making me look good.
It's been nice. Thanks.